What up, friends? We are back for another edition of The Drive presented by Oddschecker. With me, as always, is my guy at ADP Lack Sports, Andy Lack. Before we get to the Players' Championship, Andy, I know you have always been a Henley truther. I saw last week it seemed like the only people who were still left on the Russell Henley wagon were the data bros. I
Not
long
this
said I
data,
love.
bro, but a lot of people in the Andy Lack extended universe, yeah,
Yeah,
but 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 not the Russell Henley truther himself. I know. But a win for data. I mean, I didn't have any money on Xander when he won at Valhalla. In fact, I had money on Victor Hovland and Bryson DeChambeau that week, and I still took a little victory lap around the sun as somebody who's been yelling that, hey, just trust the numbers with these guys. I know you have the masculine urge to call them gutless losers. I get it. I operated Discord with 500 of those people yelling the same thing every week. But I promise you, these guys, if you know, it's just a numbers game.
yeah.
And if you keep putting yourself in the mix as much as Russell Henley does, and he had been a top 10 to 15 golfer in the world by any metric for the last 2 years over a large sample size with a lot of contending performances. I was there for a lot of them. As it works with golf betting, Geoff, you get it. You know it better than anyone else. Is like so much of it is playing to your baseline and getting lucky with
Yeah.
what other players do. And he got kind of a mediocre performance from Colin.
Yeah.
He still had to hit the shots. It wasn't handed to him, but point being, I'm happy for him, even though I wish my wallet had a little bit more benefiting to do from the result as well.
So I'm so happy you brought up Xander because that was one of my takeaways this morning as well. It felt like Xander to me when he finally won at the PGA. It felt like the only guys standing left were the data bros who were just trusting the numbers. As you put it, I've often joked. I think in 10 plus years of podcasting, Andy, I've never made an outright bet on Russell. So part of it was I'm not starting now. And, in my proverbial way, I was like, I got my own guys who don't win to bet. I don't want to take on yours, but I was genuinely so thrilled for that moment. Clearly, the highest mark of his professional career, and excited for what else the summer can bring for a guy like that. Now that he has the wind in his sails, we're off to Sawgrass. We are staying in Florida, Andy. The field is stacked, one of the greatest fields in golf. A course that has a lot of mixed opinions on it, but out of the chute here. I mean, just look at who has won this tournament since we've moved this sucker to March. Scotty Scheffler, Cam Smith, Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy. There are other things leading us down specific roads that I'll get to in a moment, but just quickly your thoughts on Sawgrass, how you expect it to play. If you like me are going to if I get burned by the back, I'll get burned by the back, but I'm not expecting an outlier here.
I think I agree with you to a certain extent. I don't think the numbers are as good as people think they are on the players once you get past Scotty. Like I don't think that the call it, well, we'll get into it. I mean, to answer your original question, I think we're going to see tougher conditions last year. I don't know if you remembered it last year, but it was some of the easiest player scoring that we've seen in a decade. I mean, we almost had multiple guys shoot 20 under par, which is not typical for the Players' Championship by any stretch of the imagination. And we had super soft conditions and we had no wind. It's going to be soft-ish still this year. They've gotten some rain, but it looks like we're going to get some wind in the forecast. I have a bunch of people at my company that will be on site giving some great info, so I'm hesitant to tell you exactly this is exactly how it's going to play before I talk to those folks who will be out there for the practice rounds. But looking at the early weather forecast, um, I think it'll bite back a little bit this year. And there'll be some wind. And the thing about TPC Sawgrass, Jeff, is super, super high missed fairway penalty. Like super very accuracy really, really matters. And you know, I don't want to say that you can't gain a significant advantage by hitting driver long, but you have to find fairways are at such a freaking premium. And the name of the game here is overall approach play and driving accuracy, in my opinion.
All right. So without further ado, Andy, we'll get into the top of the board here. No surprises. They sort of carry their own turf. You could argue Scotty clearly in his own air, but it's Scotty Scheffler 5-1, Rory McIlroy 11-1. Five seems to be a pretty consensus number on Scotty, 11 the high water mark for Rory. Looking in at DraftKings, this would be three in a row. It kind of would feel unprecedented, but a lot of things Scotty has done over the past couple years is unprecedented. I guess I may as well just roll this back even further. Colin Morikawa is now sitting at 14-1, Ludwig Aberg at 18-1. Do you want me to do this? Or do you have a thought on Scotty or Rory? Because I can get right into it.
I'm not going to bet either Scotty or Rory. And I mean, how afraid are you of them? I'm more afraid of Scotty than Rory this week, and I don't think he's winning three in a row.
I kind of share that identical sentiment. Like I'm just going on the law of averages, that three in a row, be it like the most low end PGA Tour event or something as pinnacle like this, three in a row just doesn't happen. Like it just doesn't happen. And I'm gonna bet my bets are gonna be that it, on guys to sort of ensure that it doesn't happen. And Rory, I don't know. It's just a pass for me. Nothing would shock me that he does, but I'm just not really interested in making that outright bet.
I'm with you wholeheartedly. God, the Colin number's low, man. I mean, am I taking crazy pills, or why is a guy that was 25-1 in a signature event with um, half the amount of players in the field now 14-1 on a golf course he's never finished top 10 at, with 144 players in the field and the second strongest field in golf? I mean, I don't really I just don't get the number. I like the Colin course fit, but Colin hasn't won a golf tournament in 500 days. I mean, how is Colin half the price of Hideki Matsuyama? Hideki's been way better than Colin at TPC Sawgrass. I mean, there's not even any evidence that this is a good golf course for him other than what we think Colin should be, but he hasn't been what we think Colin should be for 500 days. So I don't I was surprised at the numbers there at the top of the board. Were you not, or are you all aboard the Colin train?
Well, Andy, I don't think you've ever seen me make a calling bet. Not in these 500 days.
I'm
Not
not even saying he can't win. I just
not
don't
not when
understand why
many,
is it
and
not
I know you're
21.
not saying you can't win. You're just saying the number is wrong. The scary thing
Jeff,
about
he
Colin,
opened 12 on Bookmaker, and I know you're a Bookmaker
the scary
appreciator
thing
like
about
I am.
Colin, Andy, is
12 on Bookmaker?
he is striking the ball better now than it was when he had that dog in him that
Yeah.
won. Like his strokes gain total is higher now than when in his last 48 starts, than when he won four times in his first 47 starts. I'm in. I'm in on Colin Morikawa this week. I bet it at 16-1 at DraftKings this morning. Lead in form matters. Second, 17th, second, 17th. That's been his season this year. Scotty Scheffler, when he won last year, his lead in form, he had won the week previous at Bay Hill, at top 10 finishes in five of his six starts to begin the year. When he won the year before, he had a win and a top 12 finish in all his starts. Cam Smith was top 15 in four of his six prior to the win. Justin Thomas was top 15 in eight of his nine events prior to the win. Rory was top six in five straight events prior to the win, but none of them had great finishes here before they won. Scotty, his best finish was 55th. Cam Smith, like 17th. Justin Thomas, had never had a top 10. So I am in on Colin Morikawa. I am betting on this form. I've watched people bet Colin Morikawa with such heartache over these last 500 days. I'm
Yeah.
calling my shot right now. Here's the thing, Andy. Over the last year, the image of golf, of pro golf, is two things: Scotty lifting every trophy and Bryson. But to me, there's a third thing. And that third thing is Colin Morikawa bent at the waist in disbelief after another 8-footer that didn't drop.
Yeah.
I am just calling the shot. It ends this week. I'm betting the crappy number. My card is small. Colin Morikawa, 16-1 off the mat this week at the Players Championship.
Wow. You know, I respect it, Jeff. I have, like I said, the course fit and the recent form. There's a lot of things that are working in his favor, and you outlined a few of them eloquently. Um, and the other thing that I would mention too is, what's the counterpoint to the number being bad? Is, well, clearly, I mean, the books are terrified of him, right? I mean, they don't want any of the smoke. He opened at 12 on Bookmaker, right? So you think about Bookmaker, Bookmaker's a book that takes a lot of sharp action, and they move their numbers not really based on what other books are doing, but based purely on action, right? So that's a book that a lot of sharp butters are going to go in and place their bets, and the numbers are going to move directly off of sharp action. If they are opening Colin Morikawa at 12 to 1, they don't want, they're projecting like either, they don't want any of that smoke. They don't want
They don't want any of it.
that smoke whatsoever, right? So, um, you
I'll
know,
just so I bet
it's,
Andy, I bet on Colin.
it's
I don't need it.
scary.
I gave you a pretty deep dive because that's something I haven't done in forever. And that's partnered with a guy that I seemingly always bet because when he won the Genesis, I left some chips on the casino floor and smashed a Ludwig 22 at
Yeah.
DraftKings as well. So I've got Morikawa 16, I've got Ludwig 22,
It's a
and that is
popular card, man.
that is my card. And let me tell you this, in the last 10 player championships, Andy, there's one outlier. It is Siwoo Kim. Everyone else is a major champion or insane pedigree. I think the only guy outside of Siwoo that isn't a major champion was Ricky. But that was when Ricky was finishing T5 in every major for like 2.5 years in his like
Yeah.
zone. So, I mean, yeah, I'll give you the floor. You can give people some info and some smarter guys and build a card. I got no card to build. I am done. Ludwig Cullen.
Well, I've made two bets, Jeff. There's a lot of players that are on my short list that I want to see where the wind blows. I want to talk to some of my friends over at the practice rounds. I'll tell
Even
you who
tell
I
me who you're contemplating then. Like I people who Andy is thinking about betting and not betting is probably more valuable to people than
valuable to
making
people.
their own bets.
I know. I even though when it now I'm not going to try and get too hard on myself because I had a 30 plus outright year last year, so obviously some regression was coming. But man, it's been tough to predict the winner of the golf tournament. Like I've been doing really well in a bunch of other markets, but man, I'm just in one of those spells right now where getting the guy who wins the tournament is like simultaneously like this close away and a million miles away. I know you as an outright bettor have felt that a
I
million
get
times.
it. I know, and I think a lot of our listeners know exactly.
That feeling, it's like the worst. It's like you have a guy mixing every single week and the process is really good, but you feel like once it hits 3 p.m. on Sunday, there's just a 0% chance that the cards are going to break
And
in
then
your.
to top it all off, a guy you've been riding for weeks, you get off,
Of
and then he
course.
goes out and win. I'm not trying to make your head spin harder.
No,
We
but
all relate. I think a lot of the people watching totally, totally relate to that, Andy. So
so the point being is to hopefully not get rust this week and profit off of a stand that I have had in my numbers that has done pretty well for me for the most part in like daily fantasy, but certainly not well in the outright market. I'm giving one more spin to Cantlay 40 to 1.
I love it. I mean, I've bet him a lot. I would have a little spin in my own head if he won this week because I've been playing that a lot. 40 to 1. There are 40 to 1s. It's as
A
low
good
as
number,
28.
man.
That is a great number. I totally agree. And he's a guy that every week there's a moment you feel like it's all clicking and then it's just like a consortium of silly things and then boom, he's out of the mix.
I
He's been
I
mixing a
I,
lot. I like it.
I made that joke. I made that joke in our Discord last week is like there's always a moment every single week where
Yeah.
the moment where you go from rooting from Patrick Cantlay to win the golf tournament to rooting for him to finish top 20.
Yeah.
And that moment has been happening to me for 2.5 years. It happened last week, like early on Friday
It's
morning.
happened 3 times, I think, already
Yeah.
this year. I bet him a ton. So I'm off. You're staying on. I like
So,
the shout. The number's fair. What else you doing?
so can I tell you the other guy in that range that I'm considering is Tommy at 35 to 1.
Of course, yeah. We're in Florida. He's striking it well. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I
He
know
did
that
it
you
again
don't
next last
play.
week.
I know that you don't play by these rules, But what I'm battling with is, in my community, people love to give Tommy shit, right? He's an easy target. I thought that I would be able to buy myself like, hey, don't talk shit about Tommy this week. If Russ can do it, I don't want to hear a thing about Tommy on a golf course that fits his skill set to a T. My friend Kyle said, I bet Tommy last week. And Tommy did exactly what Tommy does. He striped his irons. I mean, he was awesome from
Continue
tee.
to stripe his irons
This
because
is
he's
some
been
of the
striping.
best approach form that Tommy's been in his entire career. But, the rule we have is you can bet Tommy one time a year and you cannot take any scrutiny. Nobody can question you. You have one swipe a year and nobody can question you.
This
But
is
the
it.
second you make that second swipe, you open yourself up to public scrutiny. And betting Tommy 2 weeks in a row. Have you ever bet him 2 weeks in a row?
I just did. I bet him at Tory and the Genesis. I mean, the Genesis and last week because the ball's striking, and now we're in Florida. When he's striking it the way he's striking, and we are in Florida, I would argue you can play Tommy without getting
Oh man, the
any sort of scrutiny.
35 is yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I know you're biased on Colin this week, but Colin 16 versus Tommy 35, they both have the same amount of wins in the
I
last,
get it. Yeah,
it's like,
you're killing me. You're killing me. I'm on vacation. You're gonna take a few bucks out of my kids' pockets. I don't think I'm
uh,
gonna have the willpower, Andy. You're
so
smarter than me.
can I ask
If
you
you're
one
there,
question? Can I ask you one question in a
yeah.
vacuum?
And then
Because
let's
I
wrap this sucker.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
wrap
yeah,
this.
we gotta go. We gotta go. Um, if Xander Schauffele, Justin Thomas, and Hideki Matsuyama are all between 25 and 30, who's your favorite of those?
Probably Justin Thomas, but I'd be really tempted for Xander.
Yeah. Yeah. I see Xander 28. So I just don't think he's close enough to win. I think he's going to play well
And
this
I
week.
mentioned the lead in form of the past winners. Like there
Yeah.
is a significant level of lead in form that is required to actually come here and win and beat the other guys in this field. It just feels like he's lacking the reps for that. Yeah, so I'm just kind of not
Yeah.
there, although I thought about it for a while this morning.
So your card's done. I bet a Dan Berger 70.
Yeah.
Talk about a cry for help, right? But what a course vet.
Just an ultimate course fit. He's been playing great. 15th at the Palmer, 25th Cognizant, 12th second. He's striping it. We're in Florida. Yeah, I
So
like it. If
so
I
so
was building a more balanced card, I'd
yeah.
100% have bet Dan Berger this week.
Did you take any part in the Sepp Straka or Aaron Rise team?
Yes, but I've since done other things and I kind of sold off my Straka bet to a buddy. So I did have
Yeah.
a nice Straka bet and it's in my account, but it no longer belongs to me. We'll just leave it at
Yeah.
that.
He's been getting some healthy love. I mean, Straka opened up at 35 on Bookmaker. Holy moly. Um,
um,
People were betting a 70 this morning on FanDuel. It seems like that's long gone. I just missed it. I'm okay missing it.
yeah,
On
and listen, but I'll say this, Andy, if Straka wins and dude's at 70 and you come in with a 55, no one is being
whatever.
like, how did you not get 70? They're just saying
Yeah.
great bet, Andy.
Yeah,
That's
I
what they're
agree.
saying.
No,
And if
you're
you if you miss a number because you want to think through something a little longer and come to like a more less emotional thought or something, or just deep dive it, I think that's healthy. Like I do. So I would like it's still high enough where I wouldn't let you talk yourself on it. But are you ready to make your smartest play? Odds Checker turns AI powered data into winning opportunities across all sports with real time insights and odds comparison. You can spot trends fast, find the best value, and bet smarter. Why guess? Visit Odds Checker now and turn data into smarter plays. Odds Checkers for entertainment purposes only and does not offer real money betting. Remember, gambling should be fun. Bet responsibly. If you or someone else you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call 1-800-GAMBLER in the U.S. Andy, no, there's been some jumping around here, but just lay it on me. What are the bets that are in right now for you?
Dan Berger 70 on FanDuel. I probably like him down to like 50. And Patrick Cantlay 40, which is available right now on FanDuel.
Yeah, FanDuel, DraftKings, it seems like might even be a consensus number for me. Man, it's hard. I'm at the top. Ludwig, Colin, I mentioned all the reasons why. Hope everyone enjoys a great Players Championship. It's one of the better viewing experience for golf fans and golf bettors for the entire year, for as much as we like to complain. So looking forward to that. May the winners be yours. And we're sticking in Florida. We'll be at Valspar in Tampa next week. For Andy, I'm Geoff. See you then.